Oh, it went cold outside. Welcome to Raspberry on a boat. Today we want to take a look at OpenCPN to get a little bit warmer. And OpenCPN is an open source plotter software. We will download and install some charts. We will configure our AIS and take a look at the software itself. Let's go! So our first step is to use a system this time which has a desktop environment. We can use this one or even the bigger one, the full one, but the first one is enough. So let's take this one, choose an SD card and let's go. After this is finished, like in our first tutorial, you should put the SSH file on so you can directly connect with PuTTY to your Raspberry. So put SSH on, remove the SD card afterwards, put it back in the Raspberry and fire it up. Alright, I did connect to my Raspberry. I did start raspi-config like we did it in the other tutorials. I did update and upgrade my system, which takes a bit longer as we have the desktop environment. We also need the WACMAT settings. I also did this already in the other tutorial, so I will just copy and paste this again. The WACMAT settings for our Daisy Head PCB, so we can use it. And last thing is reboot. I will not install Kplex, not yet, and we will not set up an access point like we did in the last tutorial. So we have a desktop environment now, we have the update, upgrade, raspi-config, and we did set up the WACMAT Daisy Head PCB. That's it so far. Let's install OpenCPN now. So to find the installation files, we use nano to edit our sources list, to add a line at the end. For Raspberry and Buster, it is this line, which you will also find on the OpenCPN page. Save and exit. Second step is a certificate manager, which we need to add certificates to trust something. So we will install the steer manager and add the certificate or the key server to our list with this command. As we got a new sources list, we need to run apt-get to find the new sources. And afterwards we can directly install OpenCPN with the normal apt-get path. So I will let this installation run and tell you a little bit more afterwards. Installation is finished and no errors, so everything is fine. Here on this page, this is the OpenCPN manual. You find all the commands which we did enter. So this is straightforward. You just need to check that you use the right source list. So for Buster, the list I used as well. And OpenCPN is already installed. Plugins is a different topic. So first, let's take a look now how to start and use this software. So now it depends how you want to use the Raspberry. Will you connect it directly to a screen? Then you can continue and just start up the Raspberry. I want to do this remotely, even with a graphical user interface. There are several ways. One is use X11 and you can install a display manager on Windows. But this is rather to see some programs, not to see the full desktop. For that, it's easier to use a remote desktop. So we will install XRDP now, which offers us remote desktop access via the standard Windows remote desktop functionalities. And that's of course great. So we don't need to install anything on the Windows side, just XRDP on Linux or on the Raspberry. So when the installation is done, we can directly start the remote desktop connection. Which is, as I said, part of Windows. Enter the IP of your Raspberry and click connect. And we get on the remote desktop the login possibility. You log in with the PI user, and either you have the Raspberry default password, but I changed it, so I need to remember my password, and here we go. We did start up the desktop environment. So under education, we can start OpenCPN, and what you will notice if you are zooming in, that the map is not very detailed. So the first step is always to add the basic chart, and you will find this in charts, chart downloader, and you need to select a catalog. So there's the space map available. And when this is there, you should usually press update. I did this, but then it will check if there are updates available. And now you can go into the catalog and decide, okay, I want to have the full resolution file. It will be downloaded, and when you take a look, it takes some time before it's activated on the Raspberry 4 even. But when you take a look at the behavior of the map and the look and feel, you will see that this is in a second looking much better. Maybe we press apply, and you will see now, oh, that looks like a map should look like. So before we do continue with maps, we want to add our AIS daisy head information. So you go to connections, add connections. It's a serial connection, you know, the baud rate, and you can pre-select the port. Okay, that's of course the wrong one. So remember what we did last time. It is def and serial 0. Yeah, protocol priority. We can put daisy as a command, and that is already all we need. We say okay. And some signals are popping in. So we see some MMSIs here and some ships. However, the map is missing, so that would be the next part, to get a map to see those boats. So more and more boats, but no map. So we go to options, charts, and unfortunately, at least for the European people, the best maps are available for the US. So the free maps. Of course, when you take maps from the official suppliers, there are a lot available worldwide. But the free maps in OpenCPN are best for the US. You will find the vector and raster based maps. So RNC for raster and ENC is the vector based. So that's for the US, but I'm not in the US, so I need to go to this chart catalog, and there's just 2 in for Germany. So it's inland and OSM. So this is the raster maps, that's the inland maps. Which one do we try? Maybe for the sources, we start with the raster maps, easier to explain. So we say okay. Usually you say update, but I did this last time, and we go to download charts. And that's what I did. So I installed all the maps now for Germany. So you can see a lot of squares here, and when you zoom in, you have to zoom in quite closely. So to get, you see, still I don't see the raster, but when I get even closer, it will change to the raster mode. And now I see details, and we can see also the ships. And we can take a look at the AIS data with right click, and then there's the AIS menu, and we can, for example, get the target query, and we get some information of the ship, which is sent via AIS. So last task for today is to add some ENC charts. For this demonstration, I did remove the raster-based charts, and you see I did already add some other charts. So I went to the catalog and I added another catalog, and you go to charts catalog. In this case, for Germany, there is the inland ENC. They are officially available for free. So we took those, and then you can download some maps. I did this already, but I can just put an update. I think one has changed, so I will just download again. And when this is finished, we can say OK, and they are going to be prepared. And afterwards, you will see these green lines, and when you zoom in, you will get such a bar. And with this bar, you can select the map. And that's at the beginning a bit confusing, because if you don't select any bar, they stay empty. But after you selected one, you will get this additional information. And these are now vector-based, which means they will scale. So if you zoom in, they will also enlarge without getting the pixels bigger. So that's an advantage of vector-based. I prefer vector-based, but also vector-based have disadvantages as everything. Unfortunately, my channel maps are not reaching to the AIS position of these ships, but you can see how it works. As I need the Baltic Sea, I can recommend OpenCMaps. On OpenCMaps, you find different maps. I take the Baltic Sea, and you can download this as a KAP file. Just mark or highlight the map you need. It's a collection of different KAP files, and you can download it directly and copy it on the Raspberry in any directory. So after you did copy the files, you just need to tell in the chart files OpenCPN where to find the directory. So I copied into the charts directory, which is existing anyway in PI. Okay, and now the maps are going to be prepared. So a lot of squares again, but now the full Baltic Sea with a lot of maps. And you can also, there's a bigger square, if you can see this one, which means that you have a different map when you're zoomed out, which is nice, so it's easier to see what you're looking for. And if you're going closer, the next map layer will come, and if you're going even closer, it will go to the normal maps which you know from navigation. So you can scale and get better resolution when you zoom in. And that's a nice feature with free maps. So I think that's enough for today. That's how to upload maps, find maps, install the software, and also integrate the AIS from WACMAT. Okay, thank you for listening, and see you on the next one.